boy, if you want to hear somebody open your eyes, is have the Germans tell you all about your group when they interrogate us. Oh, man, that just absolutely fried me.
Just so.
See, you don't have to tell them nothing, they already know it.
You know, I went for about 2 weeks of constant interrogation. Finally, the guy says to me, I'll make a deal with you. He says, I will tell you something, and if it's the truth, you tell me yes. If it's not true, you tell me no. I had no idea, and I didn't have any choice anyway, you know. So he brings out these 3 great big books, big binders, like the size of a newspaper. And he brings one out, and it's got a triangle on it. He pushes it to one side. Then he brings another one out, it's got a circle in it, and he pushes that over. Then he brings the other one that's got a square on it. And he opens it up and he turns it so I can see it. And there's a square A, a square B, a square D, C, and then the square D, he stops. And he looks at me, and my face is getting red, you know. And he says, this is where your airplane was parked, you know. And he told me everything about my face was as red as that man's hat. And so after about an hour, he says, okay, thank you very much. And then I went into the pen where they eventually sent us to the PW camp.
Well, when the occupation was over, a bunch of us went over to nicest little base you could imagine down in Bavaria, Kaufbeuren, to help them set up their technical schools.
Yeah.
So we had these Deutschers that came back in the rank they had in 1945. So we got pretty well acquainted. And I finally asked this Oberleutnant,
Yeah.
I said the Huntersbaugh group had a reputation, and people said there was a vendetta against us.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know how Germans hold a cigarette?
Yeah, yeah.
He said, Brad, they did not have enough fuel to go looking for your group.
Oh,
It's just that if you're tail end Charlie, your butt is grass.
Yeah.
And they are the lawnmower.
Yeah. And then before he finished with me, he says, you live at 479 Silver Avenue, he says, in San Francisco.
Wow.
You just bought the house before you enlisted. You work for MJB Coffee. You graduated from my high school. You have a brother that's in the Pacific. And you have another brother that we don't know where he is, and that was my younger brother. He was in the OSS, you know. And they knew everything about me.
Well, they had an early start on the intelligence business.
Oh, yeah.
In World War I, they had people kind of clipping.
Were you in World War I? Were you in World War I too?
I feel like it.
Well, that's
All these stories, I think they come from World War I.
well, that's what we found out later. When we came back from PW camp, the guys that were in that X organization, we had to go back to Washington, and G2 asked us all kinds of questions, you know. But they said that the Germans would buy newspapers from every country, every city in the world, and they send it all to Switzerland, and they cataloged everything. And it says, you Americans, that's what he told, he says, you Americans like to boast. He said, because when you enlisted, your neighborhood paper said he enlisted and he's here and he's there, and we could keep track of all you, all you people. And it was amazing.
They did have computers, haven't they?
No, but they just,
They had manpower.
yeah. But then, and I belonged to the escape organization, and in Stalag Luft 3, we used to hear the reports, the daily reports after the invasion, you know. And of course, we'd get the German version, you know, they'd say, anti-Flugzeug Kanonen shot down 4,000 bombers yesterday, you know, and then they would tell us, and we'd say, well, there was 4,000 there tomorrow because you had the same amount. But then we would get the British,
Yeah, the
you know,
BBC.
but they would only read it to us, and then we had to go deliver the messages here and there. And then we had a meeting, and the guy says to us, I said, hey, where are we getting these radios from? Where are we? And he says, well, everybody's gonna know about it pretty soon anyway, but the Red Cross, the parcels, the Red Cross parcels, you know, you had shaving mugs and, shaving brushes and all that. They would hollow out the handle and put radio components inside of these, and then they would, somehow or other, they managed to get them in one place in solid blue 3, and they would make radios and stuff, you know.
It's really
But-
something.
But they had, the cards, playing cards that we had, if you turned them upside down and put water on them, it was a map of Germany,
Wow.
you know, in case you escaped, you know. That was stuff that I had, you know, never heard of, but they did it.